This is Seeing Red, now in our 15th season of bringing you the best in independent Red Bulls news and opinion. Now, here are your hosts, Mark Fishkin and Joe Goldstein.
If you can see me here on YouTube, then you certainly know that it's just Mark Fishkin here on Seeing Red tonight, as Joe Goldstein is out on assignment. But don't worry about it. We've got a whole lot of Red Bulls news and opinion going on, including a fantastic interview conducted with Red Bulls midfielder number 75, Daniel Edelman, and that'll be coming up in our middle segment. We've got some email. The preseason is officially underway. It's very exciting, and let's get into it. As we talked about last week, just about all the rumors that we had mentioned came true. Luquinhas sold to Fortaleza for $2.5 million with some add-ons there, which certainly leaves New York with an open DP spot. And whether or not New York and Jochen Schneider and the head of sporting director to be named actually fill that role, we shall certainly see. But it wasn't just players off the roster. Noah Ehle came and joined the team as we projected, and then Roald Mitchell, the homegrown, came. He is signed, and we'll hear from Daniel Edelman. The two of those have quite a history of playing together. They go way back. When you consider that Edelman's only 20 years old, way back should be taken with a grain of salt. But nevertheless, these two players have played together and know each other very, very well. The team is now in Florida. They left yesterday and headed down to Bradenton, Florida, to the IMG Academy, where they'll be for the next 10 days. They have a number of preseason games. Do not expect them to be televised. Expect to see reports on socials, limited information coming out of the camp. We also saw the first video of Sandro Schwartz that was released by the team earlier today, Thursday, and Schwartz did, I think, a good job of explaining what he wanted, right? He wanted passion. He wanted to focus on the club culture. He wanted to connect with entire players as people, really get to know them, and build over the course of the 6-week preseason to something special. So by the time they get to Nashville on February 25th, they're a team that that'll be able to put out a good effort and contend for some points. It's certainly in the early going. So again, we had hoped to be able to speak to both Schwartz and Emil Forsberg due to a death in the Hertha Berlin family, where Schwartz coached earlier, and some pretty bad weather in the New York area. We weren't able to have the preseason presser that we had wanted. That's going to come now a week from Friday, on February 2nd, 2 weeks from Friday and February 2nd, and Seeing Red will be there asking the questions that you want, trying to get some good information, especially out of Jochen Schneider, in terms of whether he's done building this roster. Matt Doyle, the armchair analyst, has said that there may be 3 more signings coming to the team. There's a little bit of a rumor that Carlos Coronel would be leaving the club. He changed his number from 1 to 31 for the upcoming season, which seems a little strange. Personally, I think Luis Robles is 31, should be retired just as Bradley Wright Phillips 99 is retired. But nevertheless, rumors that perhaps Coronel may be leaving the club. We shall see. But I think, it's important to note when we're talking about MLS in 2024, the lens of everything the Red Bulls are doing when it comes to Inter Miami and comparing those two teams, I think are really, really important. Miami is about to undertake the most impressive, grandest preseason, frankly, that any MLS team has ever made. And Messi's a part of that. And the 2015 Barcelona All-Stars are a part of that as well. But I want you to consider the travel that Miami will undertake just during the preseason. It was announced today by MLS that 5 of Miami's globe-trotting preseason matches are going to be televised live on MLS Season Pass. And just to kick it off, the team is going to head to San Salvador, play the El Salvador national team. Then they come back to the States and take on FC Dallas. Then they fly to Riyadh and take on a couple of clubs in the Saudi kingdom, then to Hong Kong, and then to Tokyo before coming back to Miami at the end of their preseason. And Miami will have circumnavigated the globe, and they will have traveled almost 24,000 miles in the air over the next 6 weeks. The Red Bulls, by comparison, they go to Bradenton, they come back. They go to Palm Springs to go to the Coachella preseason tournament, and they come back. That's a shade under 7,000 miles. So that's 3.5 times more travel for Miami's aging core of stars than New York will take. And you have to think Miami's going to jump right into the CONCACAF Champions Cup when they get back. And yes, the team is going to be figuring it out and getting fit, but at the same time, you have to think that kind of a grueling travel schedule is going to take its toll on the team. One can hope for sure. We're days away from learning the 2026 World Cup match schedule, which I think all football fans in the United States are excited about. Consider, however, the rumblings of Jerry World getting the final are louder and louder, and there have actually been a number of announcements that's saying that AT&T Stadium, which of course will have to be renamed for the 2026 World Cup, will indeed host the stadium. There's no public transportation leading to Arlington. It's 15 miles away from an executive private airport. But nevertheless, MetLife, built in 2010 for $1 billion with not a lot of character and a narrow field, not coming out on top. Word is that the United States may be kicking off the World Cup at MetLife in 2026. But for the final, they lost out to the Rose Bowl in 1994, and it appears they will lose out to Dallas, Texas, of all places, in 2026. Not great. As I said, it's an abbreviated show. It's just me. Nobody wants this. But nevertheless, when we're back on Seeing Red, we're going to be speaking with number 75 of the New York Red Bulls, midfielder Danny Edelman. So keep it here, won't you? Thanks. Our first guest of 2024. We are very, very excited to welcome a member of the 2023-22 under 22, a man who recently re-upped for 4 years, which is very exciting. It's midfielder Daniel Edelman. Daniel, welcome back to Seeing Red, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. Excited to be on today and talk to you.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited as well. First of all, they are making you go outside today before you get on the flight to Miami, right? It's like 15 degrees. Are they aware of this?
Yeah, I think they're aware, but it'll only make us stronger. And yeah, we're going out today in this cold.
Okay. All right. Talk to us a little bit about, you're about to start your third season with the club, and you're also on your third coach in 3 seasons. And I'm just kind of curious, before we get to Sandro and what you've seen so far from him, I just want to get the sense of how has that been for you? I mean, it's a lot of change. There's always a lot of change at Red Bulls, but this seems to be a pretty turbulent time. What do you think about this experience so far?
For sure, there's been a lot of change with the coaches and everything, but for me, myself, I think it's always being able to adapt and just be able to, modify to what the coach's tendencies are and everything. And I think it's really helped me. It would be better for a coach so you could get more familiar, have him a few years, of course. But I think being at the Red Bull play style as well, you already know some sort of philosophy and structure that is the foundation of this club. And now you get the chance to work with. I'm so excited to be working with Sandro this year and learn from him, and how he wants to implement his new style of play and everything, which we've already started working on.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we were hoping to get to meet Sandro yesterday. Didn't work out. Without giving anything away, I'm just curious. What are your early impressions? He's been with you guys only for a few days. What do you think so far of what he brings?
Yeah, I can already feel his passion on the field, and coming from Germany, he definitely brings a new life, and it's really exciting. And I think the guys are really looking forward to getting to know him down in Florida more, and really just start to learn from him. Said there's going to be a bunch of video sessions, so definitely looking forward to getting to know him more.
Of course, you can't have a video session today when it's below 20. You've got to go out on the field and run
Gotta go out.
around. It would seem seemingly a perfect day for it. I don't know. I don't know. Some new additions to the team, as there are every year. I mean, Emil Forsberg, obviously one of the biggest signings the club has made in a number of years. 9 years in the Bundesliga, knows the Red Bull system. Talk to us a little bit about what you've seen so far from Forsberg.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy, and he seems class on the field. In these couple days that we've been training, it's super exciting to have him this year, and I'm really excited to see what production he's going to give us, because definitely a massive addition for our squad.
You are part of a core in the defensive midfield of primarily young players, right? You, Frankie, Peter Stroud, Wiki Carmona can play there. Have you been yearning to have a kind of a more senior guide through this position? I mean, obviously you've had a ton of success, but it seems like a bunch of very young players that are trying to make their way. And I'm curious, has that been lacking for you, or have you leaned on the coaching staff, or where do you go for kind of sage advice on how to improve your game?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Luckily, I was able to, in 2021, I got to learn a lot from Sean Davis while he was still with the club and playing with the first team. I was still with the second team, but I was able to learn a lot from him. And I think even this year, I'll be able to still take a lot from Forsberg as well, and just see he's been in Europe all this time, all the little details that he does off the field and on the field that can still be replicated playing as a center defensive mid. And then, yeah, I mean, Frankie has a lot of experience and stuff, playing in games and stuff, playing in college as well. I mean, over at Cincy. So, I mean, I got to learn a lot from him, as well as Christian Caceres from last year. So there's been a good amount of guys that I've been able to learn from that have the experience and stuff. And thankfully, I have been around a lot of the coaches that have been interchanging, and they've also been pushing me as well. So I think it's definitely been, there's no real veteran center mid or defensive mid, at least, that I've been able to play with and learn from. But there's been a lot of other resources that have really helped me out and continued to help me grow and develop.
Fair. Let's talk about the contract. This team obviously has been fantastic for you. 4+1 is a long contract by MLS standards. I'm curious your thoughts on really deciding this is where you're going to be for the real formative years of your career here.
Yeah, so happy to have signed this new deal and get this contract done. I mean, this is where I grew up watching these players play, and to be able to re-sign, such a special feeling for me. It's that second contract's the one that really means a lot, and the one you got to fight for and prove yourself. And by no means am I satisfied with anything yet. I still have so much left to prove, still have that chip on my shoulder, but it's definitely a great feeling for me to be at this club and really try to get it back to where it was, and continue to fight for trophies and really put Red Bulls back on, top in the league.
This is going to be a question, Daniel, that I think a lot of players are going to get. Miami is become an absolute juggernaut. We don't know if Suarez's knees will work, but nevertheless, they have the 2015 Barcelona magic down there. Are you looking at a squad like that and everyone else is playing for second place in the East this year? Is there any notion? I mean, the amount of talent, although it certainly has a lot of miles on the odometer, is like nothing we've seen in this league over its history.
Certainly, I think Miami are going to be a favorite this year to win the league and the Eastern Conference. I mean, look at like you said, the 4 players, and then they even have other assets on their team, both in the attack and defense. I mean, they're pretty loaded, and they're going to be a really tough side to play against. But I think again with us, and I'm sure other teams across the league, is how can we try and approach these games with the right mentality, stay focused, and stick to what we know, and try to get the job done. But yeah, it'll be difficult playing them. They've definitely got the most experience, and some class players, but we'll give it everything to fight it out against them.
That early game in Harrison is really
Yeah,
going to be quite an event, whether
that'll be something.
Senor Messi plays or not. Talk to us a little bit about Roll Mitchell, who is a guy that obviously also came through the academy. I'm sure you've been aware of him as he's gone. Obviously, the team needs to score more goals in 2024. I don't think that's controversial to say. What will Mitchell bring to the team? And talk to us about you and he and getting to know him a bit.
No, that's my boy. Been playing with him since PDA. I mean, back U12, U13. Like, we've been through it together. So I was so excited to have him sign his homegrown contract here, that I can play with him again, because yeah, it was me and him back at PDA playing balls into him, letting him spin, running behind and score goals. So it's super exciting now that we get that opportunity again at a professional level. He's a great player. He's a great kid. I'm happy that he did what he did at Wake, and now he's here with us because, yeah, we need some goals this year. And I think with his ability to hold the ball up, running behind and defend, I think he's going to really help us out. And I'm looking forward to playing with him.
And then lastly, before I let you go and get outside, what does a healthy Lewis and Serge mean to this squad for this year?
Absolutely great additions and vital pieces to our attack and our offense. Lewis, with his injury last year, we're so excited that we'll have him for this season. And along with Serge, we saw him come on at the end of the season and looks healthy and sharp, and super excited to have him on too. Two guys that are hungry and are ready to contribute.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, best of luck in Florida. I'm sure most of our listener base would like to be there with you and get out of this cold snap, but safe travels. And we'll talk to you as we get closer to opening day.
Awesome, Mark. Love it. Let's go Rebels.
All right. We've got more Seeing Red coming up after this short break. We're back in Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Mark Fishkin flying solo for this episode 559. We've got listener mail coming up in our third segment. And to kick it off, it's our friend Tim Murphy, who says, "Hey, Mark and Joe, happy to have you back for another year of pain. Oh, dear. And enjoying your transition to video as well." And yes, that's a reminder, folks. You can absolutely like and subscribe down below if you're watching on YouTube. We really appreciate it. I'm enjoying your transition to video as well. I'm wondering about Corey Burke. He didn't have a big impact last year, and he's pretty expensive. What role do you see see him having on the team this year? Thank you so much, Tim. I mean, yeah, Corey Burke is a player that I think underperformed when he came in. And let's be honest, folks, the entire offense underperformed last year. It wasn't just Burke. He wound up injuring himself late in the season, and I would have to think that he probably finds himself battling for third or fourth on the depth chart at this point. He's a guy that I think Elias Manuel is certainly ahead of, and that's really saying something. I wouldn't be surprised if Burke is dealt at some point, either before the season or at the summer transfer window. I think he's really going to have to fight to stay relevant and on the team. So not thinking 2024 is going to be a big year for the Red Bulls for Corey Burke. We'll see. Maybe he'll surprise us. The Red Bulls would be the better for it, for sure. Here's Scott Six, who says, Mark, Joe, another season is upon us, as are your faces. While I did watch the pod, I did watch while doing the dishes. So I mostly listened, which was like a warm blanket, much like the warm, familiar blanket of an underwhelming transfer window for the Red Bulls. That's all. Glad you both are well and talking into our ears and eyes for another year. His 2024 prediction, says Scott, is third in the East, and Serge leads in goals with 17, and Forsberg nets 19 assists and takes the New York Metro by storm in a series of hilarious, if hackneyed, IKEA ads. That's Scott in North Plainfield. Serge leading the team in goals would be, I think, shocking for everyone. I certainly think it would be welcome, Scott. And I'm certainly glad that you found us with your C bones as well as your hear bones. That's it. Again, it's a short, abbreviated Seeing Red with my face for radio leading the way. I'd certainly like to thank Daniel Edelman for stopping by and having a good chat before he jetted off to Florida. And I'd like to thank you so much for watching and listening. Once again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And Joe Goldstein should be back next week. So for me, I guess, thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you. Let's go Red Bulls. Bye-bye.